Well, welcome to the Britain's Best session at the Retail Summit, where our panel of experts will be discussing how we can find the best opportunities for our brands in the Middle East in general and the UAE in particular, and how we can effectively use the internet and other channels to tell our brand stories across cultures. Joining me for the discussion are Lisa Alborough, Head of Business Development at Amara, Sue Jones, CEO and founder of Amra Skincare, Javier Forster, Chief Operating Officer at CommerCity, and Jose Richart, Export Development Advisor at the Department for International Trade. And I'm David James. I'm the host of a number of export-related podcasts and a producer at the Brighthorn Group. So let's find a little more out about our panellists and the organisations they are representing today. Can we start with you, Lisa?
Yeah, my name's Lisa Albra and I head up business development for Amara Living. I've been here 2.5 years now. My role is to look after all new business development, all new routes to market. Amara itself is an online homeware retailer. It's been going now for 16 years. It was our birthday just a couple of weeks ago. Husband and wife team that started initially as a little boutique interior design store. Started online and is where we are today.
Wonderful. And Sue?
Yeah, hi. My name's Sue Jones. I am the CEO and the actual founder of Amra Skincare. We're a luxury skincare company that specialise in spa. We formulate with luxury ingredients such as pearl, caviar, gold, diamond, platinum, ruby and sapphire, just to name some of the ingredients. We work within the luxury sector and mainly in the Middle East, but now obviously growing very quickly across the globe. We specialise in really bespoke individual treatments with accounts such as Four Seasons, St. Regis, and more luxury accounts such as Versace. We've been going for about 10 years now. We're very scientifically active and it's all about opulence, luxury and discovering something different. So that's Amra, that's us.
And deVere.
Hi, I'm Javier Forster. I'm Chief Operating Officer for CommerCity, and I've been in e-commerce for just over 2 decades, so I'm a little bit of an old hat at this. During that time, I've spearheaded the digital transformation of various prominent global retailers across multiple continents, including Dixons Stores Group and Best Buy in the UK, Alshaya and Al Futtaim here in the Middle East, and Central Group in Southeast Asia. In fact, in my last role as president of Omnichannel for Central Group, it's a retail conglomerate, for those that don't know it, based in Bangkok in Thailand. I was responsible for an increase of over 2,000% in the group's e-commerce revenues and growing omnichannel sales to represent well into the double digit of total retail sales. Last year, I joined CommerCity. CommerCity is the first and leading e-commerce free zone in the Middle East, offering comprehensive e-commerce solutions. As the Chief Operating Officer, my current role is aiming to position the unique smart city within Dubai as a desired e-commerce destination for regional and global players looking to start and expand their e-commerce operations.
Wonderful. And Jose?
Hi, my name is Jose Richart. I am an international trade advisor specializing in retail and consumer goods. Working for the Department for International Trade, that is UK government supporting and encouraging British businesses to export. We also attract investment around the world, negotiate trade deals and champion free trade.
But Lisa, can you just explain how important is export to your business and what channels do you use?
Yeah, so exporting for our business is a huge portion of our business now. We're obviously a UK-based business. We have 10 international websites. Currently, we are online only at the moment. We have over 300 international brands that we work with. And then in addition to that, we have our own brand, which is our Designed by Amara brands. And those brands are the ones that we're currently look to wholesale. So we've recently just hired a wholesale manager because part of the strategy for us is to not just be online, it's to wholesale our own brands out in different territories. And for us, Middle East in particular is a huge sort of focus for us. So international sales for us is really important.
And Sue, you've got, I was looking at your website and reading a bit about your story. You've had a very interesting way that you've almost laser focused on you built the products almost with the market in mind. Just talk about how important international trade is for yourselves and the channels you're using.
Yeah, well, the Middle East was an accident. We kind of stumbled across the Middle East on a route back to India. And I observed lots and lots of kind of behaviour within spa and really kind of analysed the market. It was really clear to see that there were certain kind of different treatments and behaviour that obviously the spa guest was undertaking. So we came back, we did a lot of research into the heritage, and then we decided on the strategy of the company and what the brand was going to be, how opulent it was. And then we looked at the information that we'd already kind of ascertained in the market. And then we put both of them together. So therefore we created some of the kind of treatments that would sit and be aligned with the Middle East, not necessarily just the Middle East, but certainly it was a perfect fit. So we do say that we have the world's most opulent Hammam treatment, which is obviously very popular in that territory. So export for us is obviously very important. 99% of our business is actually all export. And though we started out in the Middle East, that became a territory that when one country was popular, then we started exploring the GCC as a whole, and that kind of led on to more sales. And then from having a very strong region, we've been able to take those learnings and then start to obviously use those kind of learnings into the global sector. So yes, it was an accident, but I think it was because we found an area where we're fascinated with, where obviously opulence it fits perfectly to the sector that we're in. So there was a match, not just on treatment, but on ingredients and the delivery we could have. But yes, the Middle East is very important to us.
deVere, now Dubai CommerCity has the ambition to serve the wider Middle East and North Africa as a e-commerce hub. It's a free port, so great place for brands to take a one-stop approach, reach the region from one place. Can you just explain about the retail trends that are going on in the Middle East and North Africa generally, but also specifically in the UAE that would be interesting for British brands in particular?
Yeah, sure. Look, the UAE is the UK's largest export market in the Middle East. Today, there are over 5,000 British companies operating here in the UAE, and around 120,000 British residents live here in the UAE. This is clearly because the UAE's diverse economy and prominence as a hub for UK companies to enter other Gulf countries as well. But specifically when it comes to e-commerce, the UAE is making significant progress. It's the fastest growing e-commerce market, and it offers great opportunity for business exploring to go online. The UAE is ranked, would you believe, 13th out of 99 countries for the ease of starting an online business here. So the time is right for British companies to enter the UAE market, since the market is still very, very much in its infancy stage, with huge e-commerce opportunity that is still untapped. Now, this is due to the high internet penetration, excellent infrastructure, high per capita income, and high spending potential. The region's e-commerce market is showing strong growth, which is further being driven due to the changing consumer behaviour post the pandemic. Now, when we specifically talk about Dubai, the big opportunity lays in the fact that the vast majority of the population here in Dubai is within 45 minutes drive from Dubai International Airport, which is where Dubai CommerCity is located. So there we can support e-commerce brands to launch customer propositions such as same-day delivery, click and collect pickup points, and convenient drop-off points for unwanted items or returns. Therefore offering pure play e-tailers an omni-channel customer experience.
Yeah, certainly. What I remember of Dubai, I've been through Dubai quite a few times, is shopping is almost a way of life, and partly because the malls offer the chance to get away from the heat. We'll talk more about Dubai and the shopping experience there. But Jose, what are the big retail trends that you're seeing globally that British retailers need to be thinking about? With the world is changing very quickly. What are the trends we need to be tuned into?
Yeah, well, there has been obviously an explosion of e-commerce globally in 2020. Some manufacturers and brands going D2C, direct to consumer, typically operating online exclusively with no physical stores, no middlemen in some cases for the very first time, and others improving their omni-channel. Then providing seamless omni-channel experience is more important than ever. Also, marketplaces continue to dominate domestic and cross-border e-commerce, so brands can no longer ignore this channel. In terms of consumer behavior changes, they are likely to be permanent, so more online purchases in more categories. For example, groceries, demand for convenience, enhanced online experience, live streaming video, social media channels, video, augmented reality to try products before they purchase, for example, makeup, clothing, or furniture. And then last but not least, conscious consumering. There is a trend towards brands committed to social and environmental sustainability.
Wonderful. Now, Lisa, getting into a new market for most people is a very conscious thing to do. I mean, some people find themselves in a new market online by accident. But if you're approaching a new market deliberately, how do you go about shaping and communicating your brand for that market? What are the tools that you use, or what is the thinking you do when you're entering a new market when it comes to your brand?
I think firstly it's understanding that market. So if that's your target market, do the research. So for us at Amara, with regards to the Middle East, I joined Amara 2.5 years ago, and they already had their UAE website. My previous company that I was with, I set up their international brand out in the UAE. So thankfully for myself, I really understood the market in depth. I'd been working there for 6 years. So it was about looking at what we currently did and how we sort of change that and adapt it to really sort of push in that territory. In this last year, the changes that have been done across the company are about localizing that brand. So for us, we've looked at the email marketing, so it's more targeted. We've created a whole personal shopping team. So there's a team now that do clienteling. So when we have the UAE customers shop with us, we will follow up with WhatsApp. So it's a very personal service. In the Middle East, in particular, that's a service that really does sort of resonate with that market. And because of that, we also then decided that we was going to open up a KSA website. So again, with that, it wasn't just copying what we did in the USA. It's more sensitive. So we made sure that we looked at the product that was actually being listed, the copyright, the actual what we was writing there, to make sure it's very culturally sensitive. And what we have found is that we've got triple-digit growth in the UAE territory, also in our KSA territory, and it's growing in all the other territories too. So Bahrain, Oman, all of them, they're all really growing territories for us. So what I would say definitely is understand your market, understand who your consumer is.
And do you look at an area, because language is very similar across the Middle East? Do you try and customize your content for the Middle East, or are you, this is for UAE, this is for Kuwait? What advice would you give on that? Would companies be really focused on each individual country, or can you be broader than that?
You can be broader, however, it's just to the level of detail that you do want to go to. So for us, the UAE served the Middle East, that site served the whole of the Middle East. However, we wanted to go down to that next level of detail, so hence opening up the KSA site and it being more culturally sensitive there. Our UAE site is very much culturally sensitive too. However, it's just slightly, there are differences within territories because there's a huge expat community in the UAE too. So it is it can be broad across the Middle East. However, it's just the level of detail you personally want to go to if you really want to hit that market. And for us, it's worked because we have got triple digit growth in each one. It's then about targeting and understanding the individual country.
And Sue, same question. It looks, looking at your website, you spent a lot of time on brand and making it fit a market. How have you gone about that? Talk about your brand storytelling journey, as it were.
Well, for us, it was really very important that we have the essence of being British, because for us, this was one of our biggest key when we export. All of our products are made here in the UK, and having that quality was really, really important, and having that British heritage. So for us, when we move into a new market, one of the biggest things for us is that we have the ability to have this quality. And when we look at going into a new market, obviously we actually approach it on a similar basis to Lisa. But for us, it's very much looking at a market by market basis. There are differentiations in like KSA to Dubai, what would be acceptable within treatments, and therefore we very much treat every country slightly different. As well, within labelling requirements, there's like dialects that might change. So we do have Arabic translation per country, as opposed to just the region. So for us, we look at selling in a luxury brand and that importance of the brand and its journey. But also, I think one of the biggest things is that we are British. And that really resonates in the country, especially within the Middle East.
Actually, it's a good point, Jose, to perhaps talk about, because one of the questions I think people look at when they're looking at a new market, particularly if it's a lucrative new market, is, do I change my brand to fit the market segment I want to go after? Or do I actually perhaps spend more time looking for the right market fit for my brand? How do you weigh up those two approaches?
I think there is an element on that, and some brands can adapt some aspects of their brand to have a greater affinity on a specific market. But I think in general, it's best to find the market that is right for your brand. For example, from my own perspective as a Spaniard, I think brand Britain represents creativity, innovation, premium quality, heritage, luxury. So when you compete in international markets, as for example, India, China, Japan, Middle East, I think British brands have a competitive edge that they can use for that.
Javier, now you've got a huge amount of experience of building successful online brands and doing retail online incredibly well. What tips would you have for British brands about how to enter the Middle East in general? But let's talk particularly about the UAE in particular, and who's doing it well, who we might be able to get some, go and have a look at what they're doing and get some good ideas.
Okay, well, I've probably got quite a number of tips here. I think it all has to start off with, first and foremost, ask, is the brand relevant for the Middle East customer? because I think that the girls, Lisa and Sue, touched on very well. You need to take into account cultural differences between the UK and the Arab world. So clearly there are certain products and brands out in the UK that would not sit well here within the Arab world. They also need to be able to offer, and I'm going to say same day and next day delivery. And I know even in the UK today, it's a challenge to actually achieve same day or next day delivery across the whole of the United Kingdom. But here, customers are now expecting this as a norm, because the leading e-tailers, Amazon, who acquired Souk, Namshi and Noon, Noon are relatively new players in this market, and Namshi, which is a fashion marketplace, they already offer this to their customer base. And because those three e-tailers make up a massive chunk of e-commerce here today in the UAE, customers now expect it on every other site. Also, hassle-free returns are a must for customers, because I'm an example of this, where I've experienced some absolute horrors in the past of returning a product back, either into the UAE or back to the brand in the UK, where I've paid massive fees to get the product back to the brand, and then I've waited weeks, not just days, but I've waited weeks for the refund to come through. They also need to offer flexible payment options outside of just the credit card and the debit card. So credit card, debit card are the norm in the UK. Here, cash on delivery is super, super important to the customer, because they want, and it's a cultural thing, they want to have the order in their hand before they are willing to pay for the order. And then quite recently, similar to the UK, paying by installments is starting to prove popular. And the good news is there are a few now operators in this market that can provide this service to e-commerce brands. They also need to be available to sell across multiple platforms rather than being purely reliant on the own brand.com. So generous marketplaces such as Amazon and Noon, and if they're a fashion brand, fashion marketplaces such as Namshi, so the three brands I've mentioned. They also need to invest and have a very strong digital strategy for social commerce, because influencers play a huge part in customer acquisition marketing here in the UAE. Then finally, they need to be mindful of festivities such as Ramadan and Eid to be part of their promotional calendar outside of just Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now, coming on to which British brands I believe are doing quite well, I'd probably single out ASOS, Boohoo, YNAP, so Yoox Net-a-Porter, Pretty Little Thing, and the Hut Group. So the majority of these are fashion, but also the Hut Group. Why? Because they offer great choice. The overall assortment offering is significantly better than the offerings from local players. And I think crucially, I think Lisa touched on it, they also cater very well for the local consumer, where there are additional product ranges that are developed specifically for the local customer. So they're not just selling online their home product that is catered around the UK. They're also adding in additional product ranges for, in this case, the Emirati. Most of the websites are translated into Arabic and user experience. So the UX UI, it caters for the language that is read right to left. Also, expats already know and trust the brand, so naturally, when they move to the UAE, they continue to shop from them, and then they promote them through word of mouth. And then they have the same online shopping experience as if they were still back in the UK, because I've seen, other players here in the UAE and across the region try to represent the DNA and take it from the brand, as they are the brand representatives in the GCC market, and they fail. So I see more examples of the good where the brand in the UK actually controls their e-commerce. But the big issue comes from whenever the brand operates their online store for the UAE market by shipping directly outside from the UK base and not stocking close to the consumer, and that results in more time to deliver and cumbersome returns. Therefore, their service offering is considered poor versus those that have the operation set up here in the UAE.
Now, that's interesting, because I think particularly for smaller businesses, when you talk about brand, everybody thinks it's about their logo, their social media presence, the storytelling. But I think you've touched exactly on the right thing, that actually, from a consumer point of view, the biggest part of the story and the most important elements are my actual experience of interacting with the brand. It's not just what they put out to me, it's what that backwards and forwards of my engagement. So Lisa, that pretty much leads on to how important then, given that deVere said that it's very much about that experience that shapes the brand, how important is it to choose the right channels when engaging with a new market, and what kind of channels and distribution systems are you using, and what might go wrong, and why do you choose the options that you do?
Yeah, so in terms of distribution, just from that perspective, one thing that we have done is we actually changed our courier out into the Middle East, so that it was very much that very quick service, because we listened to the customer, their feedback on previous, it wasn't meeting their expectations, so we changed that courier, so the service is within a couple of days. I think touching on deVere, what you said about them wanting that next day service, I think from our point of view, certainly at Amara, being luxury homewares, and some of the parcels obviously are a lot larger than others, I think their expectation, a couple of days, is certainly expected with us. And that's something we do offer in terms of the distribution. In terms of communication with them, I think one thing that's very sort of great from our point of view is we have our own in-house customer service team, which is quite rare nowadays for a British brand. It's quite often it's an external company that does that for you. And we've chosen to stay with an in-house team. What we find there is a very personal service then. And then in addition to that customer service team, which we have to say is outstanding, the team that we do have internally, in addition to that, that's where we have set up this last year, the clienteling team. And that team has grown again. That's grown significantly within this last year and is doing phenomenal. I think that one-to-one personal service, and sometimes it is, we actually find that our consumer out in the Middle East just actually sometimes wants to chat, to tell us feedback. They'll receive their parcel, put it into their room, and then actually send us pictures via WhatsApp showing us, oh, this is wonderful, this is great. And it's great to hear that feedback, because it's that feedback that we need to be able to grow the brand within that territory.
And Sue, yeah, how have you chosen your distribution channels and the way that you communicate with your, I guess you sell B2C and B2B?
So for us, our accounts that we've chosen are of utmost importance, because it's here that really the consumer discovers the brand. So we have a very strict policy of only working with synergistic accounts that can offer the luxury and opulent feel that the products can deliver. So hence why we have chosen certain accounts that we work with. Now, obviously, it is about that experience when they get into that account. So that's great, but there's, logistically, it's still as important to make sure we make those right choices, because if a spa hasn't got the actual products, then they can't carry out the treatments. So we have chosen to, again, like Lisa said, use people within the region. Not all the time, but within places such as Kuwait, KSA, we have specific distribution channels that are local, because it has an ease of ensuring that customs clearance, etc., and delivery into that account is of speed. So we have looked at each country as being quite different. They all have their unique challenges, like every other country. And therefore, we've taken it from a country by country basis. So logistics for us isn't a one-stop shop. It is very different depending on the territory.
So, deVere, it sounds like a good moment to talk about the solution that Dubai CommerCity offers, because it seems that you offer a lot of the solutions to the problems we might face as potentially new or even very experienced exporters looking to reach the Middle East and North Africa.
Yeah, look, Dubai CommerCity is built to support UK brands, obviously many other countries as well, to launch in the UAE and across the GCC region. I like to give the term to Dubai CommerCity as e-commerce in a box, where you not only get a space for office and warehouse to set up your business, but also the relevant support you need to take your business online. It's really been designed to strengthen Dubai's position as a leader in e-commerce by offering an all-encompassing and unique e-commerce ecosystem for businesses to run effectively and seamlessly. Other than the complete business setup and custom support, Dubai CommerCity also offers e-commerce strategy consulting, guidance on e-commerce regulations in the region, end-to-end logistics solutions inclusive of warehousing and last-mile delivery, complete e-commerce platform solutions, digital marketing services, and other support services, including but not limited to, say, photo studios, content translation, call center, among others. Simply with Dubai CommerCity, you can cut out the middleman. Brands no longer need a local partner or franchisee to represent their brand in this market, which is super important for those brands wanting to focus on a D2C strategy.
And Jose, obviously, Department for International Trade, your entire reason for existing is to help British brands export internationally. What kind of help can you offer for British retailers potentially looking to get into the Middle East and other areas?
Yes, DIT offers a wide range of services for British retailers. First of all, we have an extensive local network of international trade advisors like me, with sector expertise. We can help you with their export strategy in terms of choosing the right market for your brand, how to do a proper market research. We can help you with your export finance and support you with funding for international activities. We also offer financial support for accessing trade shows around the world and missions. For example, we're already planning to take a UK delegation for next year retail summit in Dubai. So that will be the second time we do this. We can connect you with more than 108 offices, I think, around the world. So my DIT colleagues can offer you market intelligence on those markets. They can help you to find the right partner for you. We also can help you with your digital plans. We have colleagues who are digital trade advisors. They can help you to optimize your website internationally and help you to access e-marketplaces and social media. And also we organize all sorts of virtual meet the buyers. We bring buyers to the UK when we could, and also organize all sorts of webinars about export topics.
So any last words of advice for British business in particular about advice or encouragement getting into the Middle East or other international markets? Let's start with you, Lisa. Any last words of advice or encouragement?
I think definitely understand your market, do your research, know your brand. Is your brand the right fit for that market? Do the research in that market and look at things like the culture, the product type, the delivery services, all those things. Just really understand it before you actually launch out in that market. One thing I've said for many years now, it's not plug and play. You can't literally take your brand, plug it into another territory and it work just as it does in the UK. You have to adapt it and you have to understand that market.
Excellent. And you, Sue?
For us, I would definitely say go out, explore the market. Obviously, we've got a trade advisor. And we use our trade advisor. They're hand in hand with every decision we make. It's a great resource. So go out, explore the region. Make sure that, the product that you're taking to that region you also know about the regulations. So what is it? Does it need to be registered? How do you need to go about that? Because that's really, really vital for success and to ensure that you're doing it correctly. So research, regulations, and trade advisor, and that's my advice.
And deVere, what's your last words of advice or encouragement for us?
I think any online retailer needs to establish an e-commerce strategy. To sell online well, you need to work out what your strategy is, but most importantly, stick to it. This includes your sales channels. Are you online only, so just selling via website, or do you also have a physical store? You also need to decide on the product range that you're going to stock. Will it appeal to the broader local market here in the UAE? And I think we've touched on this a couple of times. Are you also a specialist in one thing, or do you sell a wide range of goods? And then it's really important to invest in a 360 e-commerce solution that helps you penetrate any new market and that helps you expand. And essentially, we are here at Dubai CommerCity to help you and enable you to launch your online business in the UAE and across the GCC region.
And Jose, any last words of advice or encouragement from British retailers?
Yes, we'd like to encourage the British retailers to trade online. As you mentioned before, we have created an online platform called England's Finest that brings together pre-qualified international buyers and UK sellers. It's a B2B platform, free to access for UK sellers and international buyers. What we do here first is we pre-qualify the international trade advisors, the British retailers, before they go on the platform. And our colleagues in the British embassies also pre-qualify the international buyers. So I will say in these times that we cannot really travel and trade shows are cancelled, I think England's Finest is more relevant than ever, so we can still trade without travel. So from the perspective from the UK sellers, you will gain visibility and you will get connected to international buyers, and then from the perspective of international buyers, you will get access to high quality British retailers. So I will encourage to connect with England's Finest, and I will leave my details on at the end of the presentation, so people can connect with me. Thank you, David.
Now we've got a very short video about the DIT's England's Finest initiative. Let's have a look.
England's Finest is a brand new online marketplace for international buyers to connect with export-ready retail and consumer suppliers from the UK. As the demand for British retail and consumer products continues to grow globally, we've created a free, easy-to-use platform to help both buyers and sellers build high-quality, trusted international partnerships. The idea is simple. First, buyers and sellers go through a pre-qualification process. This helps ensure that all members of the marketplace are of the highest quality and are ready, willing and able to do business. Once granted access to England's Finest, you can then create an online profile and pitch your business to top quality, trusted international brands. If you're looking for a specific product to buy or for a buyer in a particular market, you can search the marketplace using intuitive filters to find exactly what you're after. When you've found a brand you're interested in, you can request a connection with the user. The platform will then keep you up to date with that brand and send any opportunities straight to your email inbox. Most importantly, you will be able to message the key decision makers of businesses you're connected with. This will help you create long-lasting, trusted international relationships. So, what are you waiting for? Start saving time and money by growing your business with England's Finest from the comfort of your own device. Join England's Finest and expand your global reach today.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. So I just need to say thank you to our panellists, Lisa Alborough of Amara, Sue Jones of Amra Skincare, Javier Forster of Dubai CommerCity, and Jose Richart of the Department for International Trade. And of course, thank you to all of you for your attention, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the Retail Summit.